Today's case is one of the most disturbing cases I have ever come across. Extreme viewer discretion is advised. But before we get started, welcome to True Crime with Maneater. If you're interested in all things true crime, including missing person cases, cold cases, and just the strange happenings of the world, you've come to the right place. Be sure to subscribe and turn on alerts so you never miss a video upload. Let's get started. In the year 2007, Brazilian native Danial Petry, by all accounts, was not your regular 16-year-old boy. At the age of 16, he had a history of violent outbursts, so bad that his parents actually sent him to several psychiatrists. These sessions didn't go well, and shortly after, Danial stopped attending. Danial would also stop attending school. There is some speculation that he was institutionalized right around this time, but these claims haven't been substantiated. But honestly, the idea of him being institutionalized really doesn't seem that far-fetched. Out of school and unemployed, obviously Danial needed something to do with his time. So he did what most 16-year-olds do, played video games. He was obsessed with a multiplayer game called Tibia. As an avid gamer myself, I had no idea what Tibia was. But after a little research, I learned that apparently the core of the game involves killing monsters to gain better loot and leveling up. Obviously you can do quests in between killing bosses, but also you can do mundane things like fishing with your friends and such. One of these players was a local boy named Gabriel. Gabriel was 12 and an avid Tibia gamer, so much so that he had his own server. Tibia was considered a free-to-play game, meaning it didn't cost anything initially to play, but it did have its own in-game currency. And these coins could be used to buy anything from clothing for your characters to pets and things like that. And you could purchase these coins with real money. Danial and Gabriel actually played together in a private server set up by Gabriel. After one of their gaming sessions, Gabriel mentioned that he needed 20,000 coins because he wanted to buy something from the shop. But he didn't have the coins to buy it. 20,000 coins was equivalent in US dollars to $1.75. So he asked his friend Danial to borrow the coins. And Danial agreed as long as Gabriel paid him back. This eventually led to Danial harassing Gabriel so bad that he banned him from the server. Danial became enraged by Gabriel's actions. He actually contacted Gabriel's mother one day and asked where Gabriel was. She said she wasn't sure, that he was probably home, but she'd be out of town for the day. Although I'm sure she thought this was strange, she probably didn't think much of it. And that's all Danial needed to hear. He hung up with her, got dressed, and made his way over to Gabriel's house. When he arrived, Danial knocked on Gabriel's door. Gabriel came to the door but wouldn't open, and quickly learned that Danial was outside. Danial decided to plead with Gabriel through the door. He said, I've come to fix this. I don't want to argue with you. We're friends. I want to play together. And he did really everything in his power to get Gabriel to open that door. And upon hearing this, I'm sure Gabriel felt more comfortable. After all, they were friends. They really enjoyed playing together. After all, it was only $1.75. So Gabriel opened the door to his friend, expecting that they had settled their disagreement and were ready to move on. What happens next is beyond comprehension. And once again, I want to remind viewers that this story is incredibly graphic. If you're going to continue watching this video, viewer discretion is advised. Once Danial made it inside the house, he began to viciously attack Gabriel. He beat him violently while sexually assaulting him. After the assault, Gabriel lay there in distress. He would go on to tell Danial that he was going to tell his mom. When Danial heard that Gabriel planned on telling his mother about the assault, this set him into a blind rage. He ripped the computer cord from Gabriel's computer, began to strangle the young boy, and then sexually assault him again. After some time, he believed that Gabriel was dead. He knew he had to hide the body. He tried to hide Gabriel's body in a crawl space, but he was too weak to lift Gabriel's body up and into the crawl space. So he did something completely horrifying. Danial went around the house until he found a hacksaw. He took the hacksaw and began cutting into the boy's torso. But to his surprise, Gabriel was not dead. And the pain that Danial was causing Gabriel woke him up, and he began to scream. One would think that Danial would stop cutting him at this point, but it only encouraged him. He was going to remove Gabriel's legs from his torso and attempt to shove him in that crawl space. And he did so while Gabriel was alive. The autopsy would later report that Gabriel was alive through the dismemberment. He only died a short time after because he bled out. You would think that dismembering a body while the victim was still alive was enough, but it wasn't. Danial tried again to fit Gabriel in the crawl space, but he was too weak to lift the torso. Daniel even tied a rope around Gabriel and tried to leverage him up into the crawl space. He soon realized he wasn't going to be able to do it. So he carved tibia symbols into the boy. And then he left him there, dead in the hallway. And Gabriel's little brother would arrive home that day to find Gabriel dismembered and dead. It really didn't take police long to connect the dots. And those dots led straight to Daniel's door. And during the police interview, Daniel didn't show any remorse for what he did. In fact, the only time he showed any sort of emotion is when the police asked him if he was gay. This sent him into a rage at the insinuation that he was gay, even though there was evidence that he had sexually assaulted the boy twice. And it only gets worse from here. The Brazilian court only sentenced Daniel Petry to 3 years. After all, he was a juvenile, and by law, that's all they could give him. When the judge asked if Daniel had any final words before being taken away to the juvenile facility, Daniel said, and I quote, "Gabriel cheated and I will make him pay for all his actions. There is a heaven and hell. In hell he is. I will find him there and take revenge again." This to me just shows the absolute psychotic being that Daniel is. He's literally being charged with murdering a little boy, and he's still thinking about revenge. Like he hadn't just dismembered him and beat him and traumatized the body. I am blown away. Daniel Petry was released from the juvenile facility in 2010. And from then on, reports just indicate that he pretty much just disappeared. He has no online presence and really no consequences for murdering a 12-year-old boy. This case is completely shocking from beginning to end. The fact that Daniel Petry is wandering this earth somewhere is absolutely terrifying. He is literally the most terrifying person I have ever read about. I would not be surprised if he had more victims. I also want to note that if you want to do your own research about this case, please be very cautious. When I was doing research, I stumbled upon the actual crime scene photos. And to my dismay, they were real. And it's reported that the Brazilian police released these photos. I don't know if they wanted to warn the world about Daniel Petry and how vicious he is since he only was serving 3 years and was going to be released. I have no idea why they would do that. It is so dehumanizing. And I wasn't looking for these pictures. So please don't go look for them. They are traumatizing. But Gabriel deserves so much more. He was a 12-year-old boy who loved video games and who was murdered and tortured over $1.75. And then his killer was released to continue living his life. And his family, I can't believe that these pictures are out there haunting them for the rest of their lives. Justice was not done here, in my opinion. That's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this video or any of my other videos, be sure to subscribe and turn on alerts so you never miss a video upload. See you next time.